Hey everybody, welcome to Gideon Stuff. I'm Gideon, and I EDC'd a fully serrated knife for 2 weeks. And see, here's a part of the video where if I was a super cool YouTuber, I'd have my intro play, music blaring, logos flashing, montage of my awesomeness. But that's not what this channel's about. I need to get a theme song made. Anyways, yes, I EDC'd a fully serrated knife for 2 weeks. Actually, technically longer than 2 weeks. I did carry this knife quite a bit, but as the series stands right now, 2 weeks is kind of the set time. Let's just move on. So this is the Andrew Demko 80-20.5 Shark's Foot, fully serrated. Going into this video, this was the knife that gave me the idea for this series in general. I've already done, I EDC'd an assisted opening knife for 2 weeks. You can check that video out. But this knife here, I purchased because I really wanted an 80-20.5, and everywhere I looked, they were out of stock. And then on Smoky Mountain Knife Works, I found they had the fully serrated Shark's Foot still in stock. I think that's the only place I've seen them too, so they might be an exclusive. I don't know though, don't quote me on that. So anyways, I bought it just because I wanted to experience the shark lock. And so I got it and I was like, ugh, fully serrated, yuck, ugh, disgust, ugh. But I got the knife, and I was like, you know what? I might as well give this a fair shake. So I'm going to carry this. I'm going to use this. And I'm going to see how it does, basically. And so that's exactly what I've done. I did not have high hopes going into this. And at the end of my time with this knife, which isn't really the end of my time because I do plan on carrying it and using it more, I've come to some interesting conclusions. Some good things, some bad things, and yeah, we'll get into those. So, where do I even want to start? I did try and take some footage of use with the knife. Again, that's kind of a tricky thing to do, to film yourself an actual EDC cutting. Because what you essentially have to do is every time you need to cut something, you have to, oh, shoot, crap, set up my phone, angle it at what I have to cut, and, okay, there we go, get the knife out, make my cut, and then you've just turned a 2-second job into a 5-minute job. So, I did try and get some, EDC cutting just to kind of demonstrate some things, but I did not film like everything I cut because no. Another thing to point out is I carried this knife. I made the effort to make sure that I did 1 week at least where I carried nothing else on the ranch, and then 1 week where I carried nothing else in my apartment in the city here at college. And because those are two very different usage scenarios for me. When I'm home on the ranch, it tends to be a lot more hard use, dirty use. I'm cutting things that are a lot tougher. And when I'm at college, opening packages, occasional food prep, this, that, and the other. So I wanted to see how well the serrated blade held up in both situations. And even though I ended up carrying the knife more than just a week on the ranch and a week at college, I think I did the right thing in setting that parameter for myself. So let's go ahead and I will show you some of the cutting and maybe do voiceover or something. Hey, Gideon here with the promised voiceover. So as you can see here, this is a knife cutting through cardboard. Thrilling stuff, I know, it's pretty amazing. Very astonishing. But in all seriousness, yeah, here I am using a fully serrated knife to break down some cardboard boxes. One of the things that I actually did with this knife where it saw the most use was during the Great December power outage of 2021 when a huge windstorm knocked out all the power to the family ranch, and I was there for the holidays. And so one of the things that we did was, we had to get heat into the house. We set up a generator outside, and we ran a cord through the window. And so in order to keep the house from getting any extra drafts, we had to fortify that window with pillows and tape and pieces of cardboard, which is kind of what you see me doing here. So yeah, we had a lot of cardboard boxes lying around at that time, and so they had to be taken care of. And by gosh, they were. So yeah, enjoy the rest of this. Actually, I guess before I cut you off just yet, another thing that I use this knife for a lot was during this time when the power was all out, we had problems with pipes freezing and all kinds of water irrigation issues. And so I was using this knife to cut through a lot of insulation material, a lot of foam material, a lot of rubber, like hosing and stuff like that. And I did find that the serrations did pretty well in sawing through some of that tougher material. I also cut a lot of ropes and stuff. In fact, I think I show some rope cutting footage here in a little bit. I can't remember. It's hard to remember what all I recorded because, again, recording yourself during an EDC task is not the most natural thing to do. So, yeah, I just don't even bother most of the time.
You make one and then your face hurts? Yeah. My face started hurting.
And yep, there it is. That's this is the video I was thinking of. This is me cutting some rope to use to make a contraption to carry multiple water bottles into the house. So, yeah. And here I am opening up some mail. You know what? This voice recording is really, really, really dumb. You guys have eyes. You can use them yourselves. Observe me open packages. Enjoy. So when I first started carrying this knife, the thing I was thinking was, okay, what do you do with a serrated blade? Not very many companies release fully serrated knives. Pretty much the only two exceptions that do it regularly are Spyderco and Cold Steel. And so I was thinking, I was looking at some of these knives released by Spyderco and stuff, and the thing that kept occurring to me was nautical jobs, cutting big thick ropes. And I was like, well, I'm not a high sea adventurer, but I do occasionally cut some ropes, especially on the ranch, although they aren't usually very thick. We're talking lariat rope, like that, or hay string. And hay string is a material, it's kind of a plasticky rope, and it is pretty rough on pocket knives, actually. I've messed up quite a few edges. And so the interesting thing about hay string is when you're going to cut this hay bale, you have it on the back of a flatbed is the way we do it, for example. You have this big bale there, and after these bales sit for a while, the strings kind of recede into the hay. And so when you're cutting them, you have to basically stab your whole knife into the hay bale and then rip down and hope that you catch the rope eventually, because sometimes you just can't see the string. And so when you do that, there's always a chance that your blade is going to hit something like a rock that got baled up in the hay, or it's just going to get bound up and caught up. That's how you get tons and tons of disgustingness inside your knife, inside your pivot, your knife mechanism. The other thing to do is, if you can see the strings, is I love Tontos for this, where I just push them. I basically just poke the string and that'll do it. Sometimes if you have like a regular drop point blade, you know, when you go to get on the strings, you have to slice down. You can't really push in so much with a drop point blade or another big bellied blade. And sometimes when you do that, you'll end up missing the strings. You'll end up like sliding off of hay and stuff. And so it can be a little bit of a more challenging task. The other thing too, if you're using like a Warncliffe where you're trying to like drag down like that, fine tips just don't mix well with that environment. So I was really curious to see how this knife would handle all of that. And the answer was excellently. I grabbed it like this and basically just used it like a claw to rip. Just rip at it, at the strings. And it didn't matter how far deep they were in the bale, if they were right on the surface, if I had to dig for them a little bit, this knife would just dig through and slice through them so easily because of those serrations. And so right away, cutting hay bales, I realized, ooh, the serrations are actually an upgrade from a straight edge knife. So let's talk a little bit about the difference between, you know, a straight edge knife and a fully serrated blade. Do I have a straight edge knife with me? Straight edge, fully serrated. Basically with a fully serrated edge, you're getting a lot of little tiny edges and points. So the reason this knife worked so well on the hay string as a ripping tool was because these little points would catch the rope, and as I pulled down, even if I pulled the rope away from one of the little points, it just got caught by another one and got sucked into the serration, and so it just ripped through. Worked really, really nicely for that. So definitely for rope cutting, serrations work really well, but I don't think that comes as a big surprise to anyone. It certainly doesn't come as a surprise or a shock to me. So, good deal. Good deal there. How did it work for other things? Well, I found that it worked pretty well for like breaking down cardboard. It worked better than I thought even. So, yeah, I was not disappointed there. So while I was working on this video, I was talking to people, trying to gauge everyone's opinions on serrated knives. And something I kept hearing over and over again, and I've heard it on videos and from a bunch of places, is that, oh, well, I don't like serrated knives because most of my EDC involves breaking down cardboard. You can't do that with a serrated knife. Well, I think you can. So, here we have this old box. And I've been using this knife to break down cardboard for a while. Step back here so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. It works. You can break down cardboard with a serrated knife. No problem. If I can hold on to it. There we go. Do I need to go any further? I don't think so. We're there. We'll call that the end. You can break down cardboard with a fully serrated knife. It works. Would I say it's the best at it? I don't know. It's not bad at all. And honestly, it works pretty dang well. So I don't think it's better or worse than any other knife, a straight edge. Not counting geometry, of course. Something else that was really good, and this is probably, might just be unique to this blade shape, utility cuts. As you can see, we do have some straight edge up here. For those utility cuts, so good. And so when I was carrying this at college for my light use EDC stuff, opening packages and things like that, this worked fine because even if I was carrying a straight edge knife for opening packages, I'm only using this much of the blade anyways. So with this knife here, you only need that much of it. And so it worked very, very well in that regard. I was pretty pleased with that. Someone I talked to while I was making this video, I told them, hey, I'm working on this video about, fully serrated knives. And they told me, oh, fully serrated knives for people who can't sharpen. And that's a bad thing? Really? So I will agree that the serrations do add a lot of length of cutting performance to your blade. That did not make sense. That was a terrible sentence. It prolongs the life of your edge. We'll say that. You will not be cutting, like going through foam book paper like that, but the serrations will continue to rip a long time after other knives have gone dull. So there's nothing wrong with wanting to carry a fully serrated blade because you don't want to have to sharpen. Maybe you don't know how to sharpen. Maybe, you have a handicap that prevents you from sharpening. Maybe you just don't have the supplies. Maybe you just don't have the time. Whatever the reason is, yeah, if a fully serrated knife works for you because of that, there's nothing wrong with that. So, let's talk a little bit about sharpening because I did have not really issues so much as just a learning experience. So I mostly maintain this knife using my Work Sharp field sharpener, and I don't have it with me right now because I'm an idiot. I should have brought it. But at the top of the tool, you see it has a little ceramic rod. That's excellent for just keeping your serrations in shape. And so I used that a lot. I didn't have very many problems, but then I decided to try and use the knife enough where it actually needed to be sharpened, which I actually managed to do. I actually managed to use this knife so much that it needed sharpened. And I did take some footage of that. It's kind of crappy footage. It was like taken at like 2 in the morning after I had had a very long week and day of work, school, homework, all that stuff, and that was like my only chance to do some sharpening. But I'll play that anyways. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to have to do another voiceover real quick because apparently 2 a.m. in my pajamas, forgot how to speak throughout this video. So here I am. cutting through some paper unsuccessfully. And the first thing I went to try and sharpen this is a Lansky sharpener, was this little tool that I'm going to probably spend the next minute or so digging out of there. And it is a triangle rod, and as you can see there. And so that works fairly well for getting into those weird corners and curves that a serrated blade has. Go down to the crotch shot. And yeah, look, light. Alright, so, yeah, you already showed that it was dull, dipshit. Yeah, I was very, very tired this night, if you can't tell. So let's go ahead and do some sharpening. I do not think I filmed the whole thing. Yeah, no, I don't. In fact, we're gonna probably cut that short. Alrighty then. It is very late and I am very tired, but let's see how we did. What am I looking for? Paper. That is Crystal Systems homework. These are sticky note, or handy dandy sticky notes. Okay, so besides me just being stupid and not cutting good, it's sharp. Okay, I just realized, oh, we should probably turn my light on. That was brighter than I thought. Okay, what was I gonna say? Right, I'm exhausted. I also should probably point out that another tool I used to sharpen this up this evening, and also a great tool to just maintain serrations, is whatever this is called. So some ugly edges I put on there. I'm going to have to redo this when I have time. But this little part here, this little ceramic rod, get your serrations in there. And you can sharpen them up. And okay. Now I'm going to bed. It's been a long day, but a productive day. I drew this. I'm too tired for this. So yeah, now the knife is back sharp and in good condition. One of the reasons I think it went dull that quick is because I have not been impressed with the Austin A on these 20.5s, which is a terrible shame because I love Austin A. You can check out, I have a whole video dedicated to testing Austin A. In fact, multiple videos. I did 4MAX Scout testing, I did 80-20 or 80-15 light testing. And it's always held up great. I've always been a big fan of Austin A. On the Demcos, it hasn't been that great. I also have a plain edge clip point version that did not hold up very well compared to other knives that I've had, especially since I think these are from the same cold steel factory, but whatever, maybe they just did a batch that wasn't as good. So anyways, yeah, I was able to sharpen this up. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the some of the negatives that arose from carrying this knife, because honestly, after all of the use that I did with this knife, I was left feeling like, you know what? This isn't bad. It's definitely a lot better than I thought it was going to be, but there were definitely some drawbacks. Number one, this fully serrated edges only break down cardboard when they are sharp. I know that sounds like kind of a, well, duh, but the thing is when your fully serrated knife starts going dull, you can still cut rope and stuff like that. Breaking down cardboard, you will not be able to do. When this is fully sharpened, yes, it can break down cardboard. When it starts to get dull, it will just... So that's definitely a negative. The other thing too is, when you're breaking down cardboard, this can definitely do it, but I would still definitely prefer a straight edge. However, again, it can do it. So if this is what you want to use, it can do that. And actually, after working on this video, I really, really, really want to try a fully serrated knife in like M390 or something like that. I know Microtech makes some. I might want to get my hands on some of those, because there are some things about a fully serrated knife that I have come to really like. Another drawback is the sharpening. When you do reach the point where you have to sharpen your serrations, that can be kind of difficult. There are not very many systems out there that allow you to sharpen serrations. If you're on a guided angle system, you can find different attachments to sharpen your serrations. Great. If you're working on just stones, it's a little more difficult. You're going to have to get rods, and even then, certain rods do not work. Triangle rods do a little bit better. If you only have stones, if you work on just not the exact corner of the stone, but if you like kind of tilt the knife right, you can sharpen on the corner of the stone. I did try that. Wouldn't really recommend it, but it can be done. So yeah, maintenance on this isn't the best. Stropping is not something that's going to happen. You can, like on this knife, I did strop this portion of the blade here a couple of times, and it stropped up all right. Again, not as good as some other Austin A that I've had, but it did all right. But yeah, you cannot strop the entire blade at all. Next thing, food prep. Would not recommend a fully serrated knife for food prep at all. Just was not the best thing working out for me. Unless you want to make, like, I don't know, crinkle cut potato chips, might work there. But the other thing too is, these little fine tips on the knife do tend to get a little bit smushed if you hit, a little bit harder material. It's not that big of a deal, but it is something that you start to notice after a while and needs to be addressed. So here we are. It's been a good long amount of time with this knife. What are my final thoughts? Honestly, I'm kind of impressed. And after this whole experiment, I am not afraid to buy another fully serrated knife. In fact, I'm actually on the look for a fully serrated knife with a higher end steel, because I really do want to test something like that out. Now, full serrations are not going to be the best for everything. Absolutely. But they are not as specialized as I thought they would be going into this. In fact, even, again, the thing that surprised me the most was that this knife seamlessly went from hard use carry on the ranch to regular light duty EDC at college. very easily. It made the transition seamlessly. This knife, out at the ranch, I could just tear through rope all day long, come to college, and it's a great package opener. Again, that does have to do with the blade shape, but, you know, this thing here, this little unsharpened bit there, worked very, very nicely. So, would I recommend that you purchase a fully serrated knife? I don't know. I think in this case, after seeing this video, after absorbing this information, you'll be able to decide whether or not your specific tasks and EDC requirements could benefit from a fully serrated knife. Where do I think that this knife would not work? Number one, hunting. This is not a blade that you can use to skin anything. You know, you can't use a fully serrated knife to skin things. Food prep, there are certain things that you can do with a fully serrated knife, but it's like using a rock as a hammer. Like, you know, you hold the rock and you're driving in the nail, and yes, it works, but wouldn't you rather just have a hammer? And so with food prep, yes, it works for certain things, but you'd rather just have a purpose-built kitchen knife. And then breaking down cardboard for long periods of time. If you break down cardboard just occasionally, a fully serrated knife I don't think will get in your way that much at all. Again, as long as the serrations are very sharp, it will go through cardboard very, very nicely. However, if you are breaking down cardboard for long periods of time, maybe you work at the recycling plant, I don't know, and you're just sitting there just going through miles and miles of cardboard, maybe you don't want this, because when it does start to go dull, it will seriously, seriously suck. Again, if you have a higher end steel, M390 or something, maybe the serrations will last so long that it won't ever bother you. I don't know. I want to try that out, like I've said already. I want to try that out. We will see. But I've actually enjoyed the time that I've spent with this knife. In fact, this has become one of my favorite users. I do prefer this knife as a user over my other 80-20.5. Again, I do think something was wrong with the heat treat in these two, but this one stayed sharper a lot longer. This knife didn't really hold an edge very well at all. Kind of a shame. But this knife here, great blade shape, held an edge for a good long time because of those serrations. And yeah, it's just become a very, very nice knife for me. So there's my thoughts. And that's going to be the end of the video. If you liked, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. If you didn't like the video, comment below, tell me why not. I would love to hear everyone else's opinions on this in the comment section down below. Have you used a fully serrated knife? Actually, that's the thing. If you have never used a fully serrated knife for EDC, don't comment your opinion down below, because you haven't tried it, so you don't know. But yeah, I definitely, outside of tactical application, I guess that's something I forgot to mention, is I'm not talking about this from a tactical or, you know, fighting point of view. But yeah, for EDC, it worked just fine, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Review on the 80-20.5s coming soon. I've been putting out the review for a long time because I've really wanted to use them in a situation that really brutally tested the lock strength, and I just haven't found the right situation for that yet. I might review them and then just do that as a separate video, but anyways, review's coming eventually, so stay tuned. I've been Gideon. I'll see you in the next one. Oh wait, actually, you know what's even cooler? Longest video outro ever! What is wrong with you today? It's my left hand. That's what it is. You know what? I give up. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm gonna go cry in my truck now.